Thank you for joining us today on Keepin' It Real, the IGN Movies podcast. Mr. Nick Frost, I don't think you really should go without an introduction, but here you are, Nick Frost.
Hello, it's nice to be introduced. China makes it all official.
It's nice to be introduced next to you.
Yeah, thank you.
We're really psyched that you could carve some time out today, hang out in our fancy new studio here. We've got drapes and shit, so it's official now.
Yeah, I like it very much. It's always nice walking into a place and it feels like the place where dreams are made.
That's right.
Well, factory.
This is nothing. Now we know what IGN really stands for. It's for dreams. So let's talk about your new movie that you're here to promote, Cuban Fury. Tell us a little bit about the gist of it. Is basically you play a man who had a gift for salsa dancing and then kind of left it behind. Why don't you tell us a little bit about
he's potentially a British champion, and then on the eve of the big finals, something terrible happens to him, and he's essentially has his spirit kind of beaten out of him by a gang of bullies, and he turns his back on the world of salsa, seemingly forever. And then we cut forward kind of 25 years, and that young man with fire in his heels has become me. A schlub. He doesn't like his job. He's kind of bullied at work, and he's kind of at a bad place. He's reached an end essentially, and then he meets Rashida Jones, and like any man who meets Rashida Jones,
he's inspired.
She reignites his furnace. She stokes his furnace, and
I thought you said firmness. I was like, wow.
She strokes his firmness. The salsa comes out.
That's an Act 3.
Rated R. She just kind of, he follows her. That sounds weird. They're in the same pub one night, and he sees her walk to like a function room. That's what we have in Britain. They're called function rooms. That's a space above a pub that you might have a salsa class, and that's what Rashida Jones is doing, and he sees her dancing salsa in it. That's it. He vows to learn it all again, to kind of, not necessarily to win her. I think we wanted to avoid that thing. He does it for himself. He does it to make himself happy. I think, I mean, it's an underdog story with dancing in it. There's nothing more highbrow than that, and that's kind of all right, I guess. I think it's fine if it's just that.
He bags her anyways, though, right?
Does he?
You have to buy a ticket to
Let's
find
have a
out.
look at the clip.
That's right.
I think if you're to believe, if these characters are, or any character in any film, you have to think that they have a life before we meet them,
right?
And subsequently after we leave. And I think if in a romantic comedy the man's done it for the woman, if in 3 weeks' time she says, "Oh, it was kind of good and I got swept up, but I'm going to go out with Chris Hemsworth," that character is, doomed. He's back to square one. But with lovely Bruce Garrett, we tried to make it that if Rashida had to go back to LA, he'd kind of be all right, I guess. I think that was quite important.
Now, I know you can't believe everything you read on the internet, but the internet tells me that this movie, it was your story conception, right?
Yeah.
So what was sort of the inspiration? What hit you about it?
Well, I think there are a few things. I like dancing, and I've always liked dancing, and I've always been quite good at it. But I think there's if you want me to dance and you pester me, then I just won't dance. And I felt I didn't really want to dance at my wedding. I mean, we danced afterwards when we were all pissed up and that, but I didn't want to do the dance. I think it's a complete. Where did it come from? That tradition that you have to dance in front of everyone. Now, just going off on a tangent. Do you think where did that? I
bet you it comes from Middle Ages, where people used to watch
Presented,
people. Well,
making love.
They used to watch them consummate the marriage. Well, now that's no longer
to
in
prove
style.
that any
sucks,
child that came from that coupling was his and hers.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe now it's more just the act of the dance.
I think I would have been happier doing that. If I'm honest. I wanted to show my little nephew how a real big dog does it. So I think, there was that.
There's a hot fuzz joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, let's leave it.
Yeah.
Also, I think, it's about. I think I'm very kind of pro. Just because you don't look like Brad Pitt doesn't mean your life is ended and you're not attractive and you can't attract people and I'm a firm believer that passion is kind of attractive, and I think a credo that's come from this tour is that passion stays hard, whereas abs essentially at one point will sag no matter how many crunches you do. Passion stays hard.
Well, let's just always remember both Brad Pitt and Billy Bob Thornton were married to the same woman.
And Johnny Lee Miller. So
that's right. That's right.
What a cross-section of male.
That's right. It's a little something for everybody, what I'm saying. So tell us a little bit about, working with Rashida. Had her character, had she in reality been a dancer? I mean, had she...
I think she was a keen amateur. She came into it with a lot more verve and flair than my first day. I think the girls... Her and Olivia Colman did like 2 months of training, and I did 7 months. So, I just danced a lot more. That was all. I think my idea of it was that I did it all. I did all the dancing myself. So, to finally get hold of Rashida, if you will, after 5 months, it felt really nice. It felt like we were ready to dance.
It's like when actors say they do their own stunts, so that's basically, it's like,
yeah.
You've got your 7 months of training you want to put in and everything.
Yeah, well, I think, I'm just being honest and truthful. I think 95% of the dancing is me that you see up on screen. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are just some of the stunts and stuff in terms of flipping off of cars and jumping, doing flips and backspins, then that's just not me. It's bonkers.
It's funny that it shouldn't be a sort of strange thing, but it still kind of is that, in a British film like this, even that Rashida is, American, she's playing American, right? Yeah. Does that conversation come up at any point as far as like, where should your character be from? And do we have to do some big elaborate explanation, or is it just she came here from America?
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I think originally in my pitch, I was in Miami, so I was the fish out of water, and then I was kind of laughed at by financiers, so we shot it in London too.
You're not getting your trip to Miami.
No, exactly. But I think that in itself is quite funny, kind of basing unearthing this vast Latino community in London, which there is a very vibrant one. That's kind of funny. But I think in contemporary society, you can work anywhere you want. It's just... Yeah, you can pick holes in it, and I probably would too. But in terms of a storyline, you think, well, yeah, all right, why not?
But you feel like Hollywood movies still feel like they have to explain, like if there's a British character, or like even like Non-Stop. All right, Liam Neeson is in there, and they have to explain, like, he's from Belfast. He just can't happen to be a guy that's like they have to shoehorn in some sort of explanation.
Well, I'm doing a pilot next week with Justin Long for Fox, potentially, a thing called Sober Companion, and I'm English in that, and I play a lawyer. So, it's just... People live everywhere, you know what I mean?
Well, it was funny because there was a time, a few years ago when there was all these TV shows coming out, House first and foremost, but a lot of others with British or Australian actors, and they'd always make the character American, and I always wondered why. I was always like, would it just blow people's minds that, like, if, House...
Holy shit, he's Irish!
Right. Ask me that in May when our show's not been commissioned.
Suddenly you're a tough Chicago
I don't know.
cop.
I mean, I think, wrongly for an actor, I kind of think, well, if you want an American, then just cast a great American actor.
Right.
Maybe I should put more effort in and have a voice coach in that. But I think, it's also that thing that because of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead and World's End and Paul, it's like, oh, that's Nick Frost doing an American accent, And
right.
I think you then become, you potentially forget what you're watching and just listening to him talking about the hamburgers. It becomes nonsense.
Well, it's funny because not all, clearly it's been documented most American actors are not very good at doing British accents.
Right.
And a lot of British actors are good at doing American accents, but not all of them. And when they're not good at it, it really
it's terrible.
I love Daniel Craig, but he cannot do an American accent.
Right.
It's so strange. Like, you watch Tomb Raider and you're
Don Cheadle in the Ocean's films. That's terrible. I can't really do an American accent. I do lots of weird little characters and voices in the car a lot, and it's usually
a guy in New York who wants an omelet. A hobo asking for some Tylenol.
I'd watch that movie.
Lots of those little things. I travel quite a lot at the moment.
So it's like a lot of New York stroke victim kind of voices that you're doing.
My forte, you know. I'm a big New York brain injury accent guy.
It's on your resume at the top.
Your new pilot, Bellevue.
I think could be my Oscar win. My Oscar, you know.
That's right.
I want to see at least the Funny or Die where you do that in the trailer.
Daniel Day-Lewis launched an entire career based off that same.
I want a jalapeno.
I'm in. I'm sold.
This is awesome. This is it. We want to launch the trailer. We want to do everything to promote this.
Okay.
So tell us about how long did it actually take to get Cuban Fury together off the ground? You said that you went out to financiers initially with a kind of an altered pitch to it. Like, how long did it actually take for you to get this whole thing
Not
going?
long at all. From the first email that I sent Naira, I had the idea about 5 years ago, by the way, but I just kept it to myself. I didn't say nothing because I was kind of afraid of it as an idea, because I thought it's kind of good. And the idea is kind of as old as films itself, but the idea of me dancing, that I thought people might enjoy, you know. And I thought it was very important for me to do something completely different, you know, and to challenge myself as a person to see if I could do that. So it was only one night after I'd had, you know, a few drinks, and it took me the courage to write this email to Naira saying, essentially pitching the whole film. And then woke up the next morning and feeling a bit guilty, thinking, what have I done? What did I do? Checked if I'd wet the bed, and it wasn't that. So it was, there was a message in my inbox from Naira saying, this is a good idea. Let's have a meeting about this. And from that point to the first day of production was 15 months.
Wow.
So pretty quick, really.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
You know, now when you were...
I think because I was a big mouth in meetings and said, I'll do it. I'll do all the dancing. I want to do it all. I want to do it all. You sure? Yeah, I'll do it all. It's fine. I'll do it all. Cut to day one of training, you think, oh, you idiot.
What was the most surprising thing you learned about salsa from doing this? I mean, you said you were a lifelong dancer, but had you done salsa before?
No, never. I've never danced with a woman. You know, we don't do that in my culture. We dance. I think that you dance near them and then you dance at them.
Do you attribute that to like Billy Idol dancing with himself, or like what is, you know?
I don't know.
No?
It's just about drinking in British culture, and then you get to a point you think, it's 3:45. Oh, it actually is 4:45. And then you're hammered and you're looking around thinking, which one is the weakest of the pack? Which one can I take down on the way out? You know, that's where my dancing kind of ends. And so to think about dancing with people and, you know, in hold with a girl, and it was like a martial art to learn, you know, there was so much. But I mean, in terms of what surprised me, just the passion of people and the fact that I was so supported throughout, you know. I never once felt from the Latin community in London. And this was even like kids, like 22-year-old kids from Havana who came in to teach me, and they don't have to be there. They don't know who I am, you know. All they see is like a big bear dry humping the thing they love the most, you know. They could have not been into it, but I just felt such support and love from the community. I think as soon as they realised that this was not a piss take of salsa, it wasn't a kind of you know, it wasn't like a Balls of Fury or what's the skating one, you know?
Oh, Blades of Glory.
Yeah, I mean, I like those films too, but I'm saying that it's not about skating, is it? You know, it's skating happens to be in it, but it could be football or basketball or any of those things. But you know, as soon as they realised that it was you know, I wanted to pay homage to that community and to the music and the thing they love the most. They couldn't have supported us more, you know.
So how would you rate yourself as a salsa dancer at this point?
Well, it's been a while, you know. I mean, we shot this before World's End, and I've shot 2 things after it, so it's been time. I mean, I think you will never quench the Latino fire in my heart, but in terms of steps, they're kind of rusty, but I still have a kind of a bitchin' basic, and I could lead you on a merry dance. So.
Well, that's good because we have a dance floor right here.
I think it's so weird, by the way, you know, having to do press all over the world, and then it's an odd thing that they would just assume that you dance at the drop of a hat.
Right,
and,
right.
I kind of take great pains to make sure everyone knows I'm not dancing. You know, I think you fall into you potentially contract John Travolta syndrome when you do that. But also, it's that, you know, if I betrayed a vet, you wouldn't want me to come on and euthanize a cat. You know what I mean? It's a role.
Speak for yourself, sir.
I'd probably more likely euthanize a cat on the screen than dance.
Is it? It's funny you mentioned the going around the world to promote. I was actually in London in February, and there were posters all over for your film. And is it kind of strange that when you have a staggered release like that you can't just sort of do all the promotion at once? It's like, all right, I'm going out to do it again.
It's just how it is, I don't mind. I like doing press. I think it's churlish of actors who get moody because they have to be flown around first class and treated really well, and people give a shit enough to want to talk to them about their film. I think I'm kind of blessed in a way in terms of being a kind of overweight comedy actor from London who people enjoy watching on with Simon and Edgar and now Cuban and other things I've done. I think I'm happy to do it.
Let's
bullshit.
Well,
you had us.
I kind of want to maybe switch gears a little bit, but I want you to also be able to. Are
we going up a gear or down?
I don't know. It's kind of neutral, I guess.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you just sort of in general about some your films that you've done and maybe some stuff that you might do.
Uh-huh.
How did you feel about the sort of the reaction to World's End in this country? It went over really well. I mean, we loved it. Do you feel like with each film you guys are becoming even more kind of I don't want to say mainstream in a bad way, but like sort of it just seems like your profile is getting larger with each movie. It must be.
I guess that's a thing. I don't think after Shaun of the Dead we didn't really realise how it was going over here till we came over to do the Hot Fuzz press tour, and we kind of felt like rock stars sometimes when we went to do Q&As, and you just thought, God, people really like Shaun of the Dead, and then people really liked Hot Fuzz too, and then I think there was such a gap between Hot Fuzz and World's End that it gave a lot of people time to catch up in terms of watching Shaun and Hot Fuzz and Paul in some cases, and then thinking, oh well, great, let's these guys again, So I don't know. I mean, we haven't tried to do anything differently. I mean, we've just tried to, I guess our thing that we have on Shaun and World's End and Hot Fuzz is just to make a film that me and Simon and Edgar would like to watch, or our mate Pete Serafinovitz, just that's what we've always tried to do, I guess. And in doing so, I think you don't dilute that thing that people like, and I think there are people like us all over the world that like the same thing, and you just kind of happen to hook into that seam, and I think people seem to relate to the fact that we're talking to them directly and not just being generic about some weird, cross-Atlantic hybrid that we made because we thought America might like it,
Right.
I remember going to the Shaun of the Dead panel at Comic-Con, and they showed some space clips.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I had heard about space. Actually, our ex-coworker Travis Fickett had talked up space a lot to me. But
where's that guy?
He's actually writing for TV now. He's the new 12 Monkeys TV show on Sci-Fi.
Yep. Did La Femme Nikita.
Right. But anyway, he talked up the show to me, but I hadn't seen it. And it was interesting when they showed even the clips because, you could tell like maybe half the audience had seen it, half hadn't, but it was just resonating with that crowd. What was it like for you guys back then? You made this small scale show and put it out there. Obviously, it had its success in your country, but did you start to feel that sort of cult audience, kind of grow and grow a little bit?
Again, we get when we come and do Q&A, it's like we do a world tour when we tour these films and stuff, and we go all around the world. And like with this film, you do press all day, and then you do Q&As at night, and pretty much. When you throw the questions out to the audience, the first question is always, will there be a third season of Spaced?
Yes.
You're like,
You must be so sick of being asked about
No,
that.
and listen, I think it's amazing that people still love something that was made 14 years ago. And, I think it's just testament to the amazing script that Jessica and Simon wrote and Edgar's direction and the cast, and the so that everyone pulled together and we made something which was of its time, and I think there were motifs that we touched upon that are still relevant today and still, resonate with people.
What would you
I think that was the most intelligent thing I've ever said, by the way. I use the word resonate, motif.
Great moments in history.
You've also kind of switched things up, and you did Snow White and the Huntsman.
Yeah.
Now I'm just curious.
With lovely Chris Hemsworth, who we've been talking about a lot.
Exactly. Right.
Hunky, lovely Chris Hemsworth.
There had been some chatter that there might be a sequel to that, but what do you know? Is there one maybe going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'd heard fairly recently that there was a good script going around. And I speak to Eddie Marzan and Toby Jones a bit, and Ian McShane's in Cuban Fury too,
right.
and Ray Winston I speak to a lot, and I get a lot of texts from Ray Winston because we support the same football team, and they're always.
Please tell me he texts you like really drunk and.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Because that's exactly what I would want Ray Winston to be like.
He's often cleaning a 12-gauge shotgun, I imagine.
Also perfect.
So we love doing that film. We had such a laugh. I mean, the makeup was grueling. It was like 6 hours a day, but we just sat in a big trailer, and you couldn't see each other, but you could hear everyone piping up and chatting and bantering, and it was all right. I like doing it, and I think we'd all love to do another one.
When you see your friends in other movies, is it tough for you to kind of suspend your disbelief and just go along and watch a movie because you're like, there's Ray, I mean, it's going to be tough to actually like go and see something like Noah.
Yeah,
and he's playing the bad guy, and like, he's
Come
really
on,
like
Ray.
that.
Go on, Ray.
I don't know. I haven't seen Noah. I'll have to wait and see. But I mean, I think a good example would be Simon in the Star Trek movies.
Right.
And I think it's probably, I just watch it and I think there's that first 5 minutes I'm like, oh, there he is. And then, he's a good actor and I like watching him and he makes me laugh. So I can kind of put it to one side and watch it.
I was just going to ask if you and Simon might write together again.
Yeah, we'd love to. We have a really good idea that we have an office in town. So we'll often be in the office, but we had a really good idea last year for something that potentially we would kind of do everything on, we'd self-finance and it would be really small and indie, but the idea made us laugh tons. But unfortunately, it, in terms of the idea, would work better if we were slightly older. So it could be one of those things we do in our...
It's your Unforgiven. It's the script you write, you keep on the shelf until you're already age.
Yeah, maybe.
All right.
It will be better the older we get, but we'll see. But I think it will be quite a small shoot, and it's just finding time when we're all free,
Yeah. I want to ask you about just some sort of things in pop culture in general, because we're about the same age.
This is about the cronut. Forget it.
No, not the cronut. No, this is about. Let's talk about Marvel Studios. Okay, now they've got your buddy Edgar is about to start directing Ant-Man and all that.
Ant-Man.
Has it gone to his head?
Has it? Yes. I mean, what do you think about sort of Marvel Studios and this kind of amazing thing that they've been able to pull off, which is something that growing up we could only have dreamt of, having one of these movies. Now it's an entire established universe.
I think it's a fantastic thing. I really like watching those films. I'm a big fan, and they do it with heart, and I think what I like is they do it with good humour. The scripts are pretty good, and everyone seems to be having a good time doing it. I don't have a criticism. I think if there was one, I think it would be, in a world full of giant franchises, a shame to lose the little midway film that seems to be, dying slightly. That kind of $10 to $30 million budget movie,
right,
which kind of throws up some real charming hits every now and again. I think it's a shame to lose that, I guess. But I'm a fan of Marvel. I think they're fab.
When Edgar got the
Sorry, I said fab, by the way.
No,
okay.
you're bringing it back.
Okay,
sure. When Edgar
if an American had said fab, I'd probably roll my eyes, but you can get away with it.
When Edgar got the Ant-Man gig, though, did you think to yourself, who could I play in the Marvel Universe?
Well, we kind of knew he had it, obviously, because he kind of wrote the script and stuff, but...
Many years ago.
On the World's End press tour, whenever Edgar was asked a question about Ant-Man, I'd say, hey, I'll get this one, Edgar. And I'd kind of talk as if I was playing Ant-Man. Or I'd say to him during an interview, Now, Costume haven't phoned me. They haven't phoned me yet about the suit. So, yeah, I think it's pretty amazing. I think, I love Edgar as a director, and I loved Scott Pilgrim. I thought it was fantastic. I think it's a film that people will study in years to come as a kind of, this is how you do it. Mm-hmm. And I think Ant-Man will be time. I think, being Edgar's mate has afforded me a chance to watch him over the last 15 years, and actually, I don't think he's never not got better from film to film to film, and I think that will just continue,
Yeah. Now, I had actually always wanted Edgar to take over Spider-Man when Raimi said he was leaving. So, different insect, but still Marvel. I'm happy that he's doing it. Is there just in general, is there a character in the Marvel universe, DC universe, whatever, is there a comic book character or property that you'd love to take a crack at?
I don't know. I think being a big old lump, I'm kind of restricted to playing big old lumps. So, it would be a Rhino-style character or Hulk. I think I'd probably get away with. Although I thought of a character the other day called Concrete Bee, which I thought I could play in the Ant-Man universe. He doesn't exist, but I thought we could just make it.
You could do Egghead, shave your head.
I shave my head for Snow White. So
there you go.
What do you think about Paul Rudd as Ant-Man? Everybody thought it would be either you or Simon. When you find out it was Paul Rudd, you were like, son of a bitch.
No, not at all. No, I mean, obviously, I have an inside track on.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit in front of the curve in terms of knowing Edgar and, But I love Paul. I've liked him for a long time, and I think he's amazing. So I think it's going to be great.
Is Rashida going to be an Ant-Man?
I'm not at liberty. I don't know. I'll ask her when I see her later.
I'm also curious. Spaced had a wonderful episode dealing with the Phantom Menace and reaction. And Simon's talked a lot about his reaction to the Phantom Menace, his time that he had to kind of have with himself in Star Wars, and where he's at now. What are you thinking with Star Wars with this very new direction and obviously new films, J.J. Abrams?
I think it's going to be amazing. I can't think of anyone better to do it, really. Again, JJ is so smart, and I think he's a guardian of the genre. I think he wouldn't do anything to hurt it. I think he just wants to push it forward and improve it. And JJ is one of those fantastic filmmakers where he understands the fact that yes, there are millions of dollars you can spend on amazing effects, but if you don't have good characters that people root for, then it's just eye candy and it's meaningless, So I think I'm just excited. I'm a fan. I'm a Star Wars fan. So to be able to sit in that cinema, hopefully at the premiere, if I'm invited, and see those yellow words roll up the screen, which I'm hoping will remain. Right. I'm excited to think about that.
And he's also.
And if you need a guest for that premiere, just let me know.
Okay, if you're in London and my wife is sick.
All right, definitely.
JJ is also though an actor as director, and that's something that you've seen. With the Star Trek films, do you think the internet and frankly press like us are making too big of a deal out of the fact that they still haven't cast everyone yet, or they haven't announced anything, and they start filming? I mean, you work in the industry. Is that kind of business as usual that things kind of just come together at last minute?
But it's the thing
get announced at the last minute.
The thing about a film is it's about the film. It's about the watching of the film. That's what. That's what the film is. The process to get to that point it's only now in the last 10, 15 years that there's so many people wanting to write about genre cinema and the process, and that we give a fig. Before, I remember, and Simon talks about this too, something like Sinbad, when you see him fighting skeletons, you think, that man's fighting skeletons. You don't think, they look rubbish. You know what I mean? And that's part of you never saw that process being made. And it's the same with this. It's like, by the time that film is released, it will be a film, and people don't need to know, although they like to know, but they don't necessarily need to know how we got to that place.
Right.
It's funny these days, like, I think Wolverine last year was one example where
Can I make the shing noise when you say it again?
What did you say?
When you say Wolverine, the Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
Shing!
Nice.
I like to say it every time someone says Wolverine.
Now I'm going to throw it out just whenever you're not ready. But it was funny. I remember that movie didn't have a really early trailer, and it was like an outrage on the internet. Where's our trailer? I'm like, eventually they're going to promote the hell out of this movie. It's not like they underpromoted that film.
There's also, there's also an odd thing about the internet and people on. I mean, there's probably 1,000 people, right, saying, or even 150, 200 people saying, "Where's the trailer?" You think there are 6 billion people on this planet. It's such a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of anyone. You think, why do people listen?
Right.
Just don't look. Just turn it off.
And yet they do seem to spark these fires that you'll have harried publicists calling you up or changing gears on something. You're like, that's just a minuscule amount of people, just of that audience of that site.
Also, people too who probably wouldn't even be bothered to go to the theater to see the film.
Or the flip side, they're a guaranteed ticket, which is the other thing that's funny.
Yeah, right. Just to be a hater,
right,
or whatever. Right. Let's talk about to kind of go back
Wolverine.
To Marvel and DC, they have this looming showdown in 2016, May 6, 2016. Right now,
a day that will live in geek infamy.
It's Batman versus Superman, or whatever they end up calling it, opening up against Captain America 3. Gun to your head. Which one are you paying? Well, forget paying. I guess you could say it for free. But which one are you going to go see first?
Hopefully, Wes Anderson will have a film out that weekend.
You don't have to choose.
And I'll go and see something Wes does. I mean, Batman, Superman's kind of going to be pretty big, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of me as a person, Captain America is kind of, as an Englishman, he's kind of low on my scanners. That said, I really enjoyed the first film, and I can't wait to see the second one. But
don't let anyone spoil you on Winter Soldier.
No. But, I like Batman and I like Superman, and
curiosity factors high.
I guess. Okay, let me just say, I think I've heard myself say about 1,000 times in the last 50 minutes. I mean, technically, I can't get over the fact that Superman would just murder Batman, right? He'd just fly through him.
Right. Just heat vision him in half.
That would be it.
I think.
Imagine that was the film. Imagine that was the film.
Ben Affleck's been working on all this time, all these months, to be dead within 5 minutes.
It really would be.
It was 12 minutes long. There was a build-up, and then Superman turns up and just lasers him in half.
Wait,
and the credits
this would
roll.
be great if this is the new David Goyer Superman. In every movie, he's just a stone cold killer.
Yeah,
and everything. He's like snapping necks.
I'm clearly going to win this one. I am Superman.
At the end, it's like Batman's torso and Superman in the post-credits having a falafel.
Shawarma.
Yeah, Superman's making him talk like Burmese.
Yeah.
Hey, Pluto.
This is getting pretty dark here.
I like it. I might put my pants back on.
Please don't. I lost my train of thought. Oh, on the
it was the
Batman,
pants, right?
On the Batman Superman kind of tip there. There's a quote attributed to, I believe, Nolan, that Gary Oldman has kind of reiterated in interviews, that Superman is the way America sees itself. Batman is the way the rest of the world sees America. What do you think of? I think that's dead on. I feel like that's completely. What are your thoughts as an outsider to this country, kind of looking in and stuff?
Would
like
it be
that?
churlish to say I'm not bothered? It is what it is. They're characters.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Sorry.
You're like, whatever.
Just not bothered.
It's acceptable.
I've got a 2.5-year-old son. I've got bigger fish to fry. And theorising as to whether or not Batman is how America sees.
What do you think is represented by Wolverine?
Hope, and the need for very sharp knives in the kitchen.
That Canada can kick
and
your ass.
And amazing abs too. Yeah.
Right.
Is there? Are there any sort of geek properties that people might know that might not know that you're really into, that you'd like to,
I think we've discovered over the past 10 years that geek just means liking something a lot, be that anything, Yeah. So I'm a cooking geek.
Mm-hmm.
I also like Invincible. I I like Invincible very much. I like Atomic Robo very much. I know those guys. I've just written a foreword for the new Atomic Robo trade, which is kind of exciting that lovely Scott Wegner would approach me to say, hey, you want to write this thing?
Nice.
Which is kind of cool. As I said, I have a kid now, and I don't want him touching my stuff. So
right.
all my cool figures and graphic novels are up high. I'm a massive John Wyndham fan too, so I was in a position last year. I bought a first edition Day of the Triffids.
Oh, nice.
Which was amazing.
They're trying to do that as a movie again. Would you want to get in on that?
Yeah, maybe I could be Coker. The evil guy. That kind of ties the blind people together. A weird story. That was another. I had when we did Tintin, I found when I was 16 years old, I used to trawl. What do you call them here when you like secondhand stores? Goodwill.
Oh yeah.
So I used to trawl Goodwill looking for first edition books that potentially could be worth money. And when I was 16, I was a massive fan of Close Encounters since I was a kid, and I found a first edition novelization of the Close Encounters book written by Steven Spielberg. Jump forward 25 years and I'm on set with Spielberg doing Tintin, and I got him to sign my
that's awesome.
first edition novelization. And it's now in like a jiffy bag in a safe in my house. And it never comes out. But he wrote this amazing thing, and he was amazed. He was like, God, I haven't seen one of these for ages. Yeah. Have you ever read that book?
No.
It's
we
had the Star Wars and Raiders novelization.
Well, at the beginning, the first chapter is essentially about the U.S. Army or the Air Force going to Stevie Wonder to borrow the most advanced synthesizer in the world. And that's the one you see at the end that guy plays.
We need a prequel with
That's amazing.
So when you watch that scene at the end of Close Encounters, that's Stevie Wonder's synthesizer.
Holy shit.
Amazing.
That is amazing.
No idea. Is there a particular genre property you most want your child to get into? And will there be one that you want him to get into? It's a he, or
it is a he.
Okay, good. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
Really insulting if it's a little girl. If there's a property you want him to get into that he doesn't get into, that will kind of break your heart.
Star Wars, I guess, the first three. I don't want to push him. I'm trying to formulate a plan of how to do it. What did we watch the other day? Something was on. I think it might have been Empire, and he came and snuggled in next to me and sat and kind of watched 20 minutes of it. And my sister sent him like a big 3.5-foot Chewbacca doll for Christmas. And every time Chewie came on, he said, Chewie. So I was like, yeah, this is good. This is great, But he's not at a place where I just force him to sit there with his eyes glued open and you will watch that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting when you go
Indian.
back
I wanted to watch films. I wanted to watch stuff that I watched as a kid and felt that amazing excitement of, the first 10 minutes of Raiders. I think that sends chills through me. Just seeing what's his name coming, and loads of. It's amazing. I just want him to feel that. I think obviously I want him to have the choice to see and watch what he wants, but I think for a father and son to sit and watch Raiders on a rainy Saturday afternoon it will be a highlight of my fatherhood.
Right.
I think.
Is there? Have you ever met some of these actors you would have seen growing up, like Harrison Ford? Have a geek out moment with them? And
no, I've never met Harrison Ford. I met Patrick Duffy this morning, and that kind of rocked my world.
Dude, that's amazing.
Dallas
Man from
was
Atlantis,
massive.
Oh yeah,
he was a parent at my high school. Actually, that's an LA. Kid.
There's a rumor that I'm like some sort of distant cousin of his, like through the Midwest.
I can see it,
It's my Atlantean kind of voice.
I think meeting Sigourney when we did Paul,
that had to be something. Yeah.
And having Blythe Danner say, "Get away from him, you bitch!" That was amazing.
My wife doesn't have she's not a very starstruck person, but we were at a Comic-Con party and Sigourney Weaver's there, and she's like, "Get my picture with her!"
Yeah,
that was a big one.
The first, we were in a field in the middle of New Mexico, and she was sat on her own in this amazing cocktail dress. And me and Simon were like 50 feet away, just looking at her. And it was her first day on set, and we were saying, "Come on, let's just go and Just go and say hello. Just go. Just go. It took us ages to. And it's like, come on. Hey, how are you? You all right? But I found myself saying, do you want a drink? You want a drink or something?
She's such a sweet lady.
She's amazing. She's lovely,
and she has like a real. There's not a lot of people you could use this word with, but a real grace to her. Like a lot of people don't really have that.
She is so fit. She's so hot.
Yeah.
She has that wonderful thing where she doesn't break your eyes. So as a man, you're forced. Look away. He's so powerful. But she, when we did the pool. I did meet Harrison Ford, by the way. When we did the pool panel, and Sigourney was there, he was coming in as we were going out for a panel, and then me and Simon did that thing. Was like, Harrison Ford, Harrison Ford, and that was as far as we got. But Sigourney went round Comic-Con, went round the floor, wearing a Batman mask.
Oh, that's awesome!
Nice.
So if you saw a really beautiful, tall, lithe Batman, that was Sigourney Weaver.
Oh,
I love when I hear those stories because I know a lot of people kind of pick
I
their
saw
costumes.
Nathan Fillion trying to be. I'm like, you're wearing sunglasses. That's not even trying. You kind of want to get recognized.
Well, last year Simon went round. He had like a Sean shirt on, a blood spattered shirt with his red tie, and he had like a Boba Fett helmet, which someone had made in like a Sean livery. So it was white but speckled with blood, and instead of the antenna, it was a cricket bat. And he went round like that, and he came to show me. He said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I'm going to take a photo of you right now and tweet it."
Find this.
I
man.
know Elijah Wood and Dominic Monaghan were stormtroopers to walk the floor at Comic-Con.
Well, those Your Next masks that they were giving out were like the best thing because so many actors were like just throwing those on and walking the floor.
It would be good to have like a me mask.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, but did you see Bryan Cranston did that? He wore a Walter White mask
fantastic.
and walked the floor. And it was like this really creepy Walter White mask that he brought out on stage. But it turned out
amazing.
he walked the floor at Comic-Con with that mask.
Hiding in the light.
Exactly.
Are there any directors or actors that you haven't worked with yet that you really would like to do something with?
There are loads.
Yeah.
Hang on. I shouldn't be opening my phone on this, I don't think.
You're going to give us some phone numbers?
I've got, hang on, I have a list.
Ah.
I have a list. Okay, here we go. I love the film. This is in no particular order, by the way. It's just, consciousness coming out. I love the film Francis Ha.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I love Jim Jarmusch, Wes Anderson, J.J. Abrams, Noah Baumbach, the Coen brothers, Joss Whedon. If anyone's listening, by the way, Paul Thomas Anderson, David O. Russell, Catherine Bigelow, Steven Soderbergh. So, not, just local, young, up and coming.
Right.
Here are the girls. Greta Gerwig, Olivia Colman, who I work with a lot, but I'm just greedy. Ari Graynor, who I love. I think she's amazing. Mae Whitman, who I love. Jennifer Lawrence, Catherine Hahn, Taylor Schilling. I've just got into Orange is the New Black. And I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely
Olivia,
fantastic.
I just saw Locke, and she does one of the voices in that Tom Hardy film, and it's a remarkable movie. So yeah, she's great in that. Yeah.
John C. Reilly is on my boys list.
Nice.
I think he's amazing. Now, I could literally I'd pay to watch him take a dump. We're still live, right?
And a P.T. Anderson movie, no less.
Yeah.
Something. Are there any other things you want to plug before we wrap up the?
I'd like to know a little bit more about your pilot, actually.
Oh yeah.
It's I'm doing it for Fox with Justin Long, and I was very kind of chuffed, which means happy that I would even be on that radar, really, and I really like the script, and I like Justin Long a lot, and I say no to a lot of things. It's just a knee-jerk reaction of mine. No, I don't want to do it. I don't like it. It's not good enough. But it was good. And it was, in terms of being a character actor, and, if someone offers you the role of alcoholic lawyer, you're like, yes, please.
Right.
There's a long way to go. We have to shoot the pilot. It has to get picked up, potentially. But if the rest of the season can be like the pilot script, it could be great,
What's the storyline of that show?
Well, it's essentially about my character, who's a man called Robert, who's an alcoholic lawyer, and he's a point in his life where he can't really function anymore as a high-powered lawyer, and he's given a sober companion for 90 days, who's Justin Long, and it's about their relationship and how Justin tries to keep me on the straight and narrow.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be a full 22 episode show, or is it 13?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah?
I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but you might be seeing a lot of me just wandering around with my
right up the street.
toy
there. Are you
poodle.
Is it going to be Fox in LA? Is
No, we're over at
LA
CBS.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to it, actually. I'm a bit nervous about it. I've never done this kind of thing before, and I'm not sure what to expect. And, I think as an actor, you just have to chase good things and have a mouth and a voice to say, I like this, or I don't like this, let's change it to this, and to not back down, if that's what you believe is right, then dig in.
All right. Awesome. Well, tell folks when they can see Cuban Fury. It's
Hello. Cuban Fury is in selected cinemas now. And I think it's what they call in the business a platform release.
I believe it's going to get rolled out.
Well, hopefully. I mean, I think if only
release.
12 people see it today, then it'll be less and less. But hopefully people will get out there and want to feel happy for 98 minutes.
Awesome. Well,
which would be good.
Thank you so much for joining us
pleasure.
today, for talking about so many different things with us. And, we can't wait to see your new show and go see Cuban Fury.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Wolverine.
you.
Shing!